When Ukraine offered to help the United States counter Iranian drones in Operation Epic Fury, President Trump declined. According to NPR's confirmed reporting, Trump said on Fox News, "We don't need their help in drone defense. We know more about drones than anybody. We have the best drones in the world, actually." That was early March 2026. By March 17, per Zelensky's confirmed ex-post, 201 Ukrainian specialists were already operating in the Middle East and Gulf region, with another 34 ready to deploy. And Ukraine's interceptor drones were en route to Jordan for U.S. bases there. The math had won the argument that the statement had lost. The math that won. Iran's Shahed drone costs between $20,000 and $50,000 per unit, according to SOF News. A U.S. Patriot PAC-3 interceptor costs approximately $4 million. According to SOF News, yet the U.S. spent an estimated $4 billion on missile defense in the first week of Operation Epic Fury alone, responding to over 500 ballistic missiles and nearly 2,000 drones that Iran fired at targets across 12 countries in that opening week. Iran was generating roughly a 100-to-1 cost advantage on every Shahed it launched, regardless of whether the drone hit anything at all. That is not a military problem. That is an accounting crisis. And Ukraine had already spent 4 years building the solution to it. Iran's strategy was designed to be economically unsustainable for the defender. According to Defense Security Monitor's confirmed analysis, even a 90% intercept rate constitutes strategic failure, because the 10% that gets through is producing disproportionate damage, and the 90% that is intercepted is consuming irreplaceable magazine depth that takes months to replenish. Ukraine recognized this problem in 2022 and built the response to it. The Gulf states and U.S. bases in the region are now the beneficiaries of that 4-year development effort. What makes Ukraine's knowledge uniquely valuable is not just the volume of experience, it is the active daily iteration against a continuously evolving threat. According to the National's confirmed April 7th analysis, the key phrase analysts use is continuous adaptation, continuous improvement. Ukraine's ability to respond to each new Shahed variant, each new electronic countermeasure, each new tactic within weeks rather than years. According to Wikipedia's confirmed Epic Fury entry, UK Prime Minister Starmer specifically stated that Ukrainian and other specialists would aid Gulf efforts to counter Iranian drone strikes, naming Ukraine's combat expertise as the specific valued commodity being transferred. The deployment did not happen spontaneously. It happened because the United States made a formal request. Per Zelensky's confirmed ex-post on March 5th, "We received a request from the United States for specific support and protection against Shaheds in the Middle East region." Zelensky confirmed he gave instructions to provide the necessary means and ensure Ukrainian specialists were present to guarantee the required security. According to Al Jazeera's confirmed reporting, a Ukrainian team first deployed to Jordan, specifically to Muwafaq Salti Air Base, which hosts U.S. military assets, as the initial deployment point. By March 17th, per Zelensky's confirmed statement, 201 Ukrainian specialists were active across Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Jordan simultaneously. The scale of the Sting's combat record is worth emphasizing because it validates the technology being sent to the Gulf. According to competitor reporting citing New Voice of Ukraine, the Sting accounts for the majority of intercepted Jiran 2 drones in Ukraine, more than any other system. Its 80 to 90% success rate was not achieved in testing. It was achieved in actual night operations in electronic warfare-dense environments against moving targets flying at terrain-masking altitudes. The Gulf states are receiving battle-hardened technology, not a prototype. Zelensky's accompanying statement set the terms of the relationship clearly. "We are ready to offer similar deals to all our reliable partners, from practical cooperation on drones to future defense alliances. And I don't think anyone would want to leave Ukraine's war-proven strength and capability outside their security. If someone does, it wouldn't be wise." That last line was directed at the same administration that had publicly said it did not need Ukraine's help. The deployment was already underway when those words were posted. In combat conditions, the Sting has achieved an 80 to 90% engagement success rate and has taken down over 4,000 Garand-2 drones in Ukrainian airspace, per technology.org. Ukraine produces over 10,000 Sting units per month at a unit cost of approximately $2,100. One critical caveat confirmed by the war zone. Wild Hornets told the war zone directly that despite growing Middle East interest, they are not yet allowed to sell them outside the country. What is flowing to the Gulf is government-facilitated under specific agreements, not a commercial export. That distinction matters for how quickly volume can scale. The Sting is Ukraine's flagship, but not its only interceptor. According to Al Jazeera's confirmed breakdown, Ukraine has at least 4 additional models deployed or ready to deploy. The Bullet, developed by General Cherry in late 2025, combines a jet engine with 4 rotors, is fully 3D printable, uses AI-assisted guidance, and reaches 309 kilometers per hour with a 5,500-meter altitude ceiling, higher than the Sting, making it more effective against Shaheds that attempt to evade by climbing. The P-1 Sun by Skyfall is also 3D printable at 300 kilometers per hour, designed for the same rapid mass production model. The Octopus 100 is designed in Ukraine, but mass-produced in the United Kingdom, an arrangement that sidesteps export restriction concerns entirely by moving production outside Ukrainian jurisdiction. The Odin Win_Hit reaches 280 to 300 kilometers per hour at a 5,000-meter ceiling, built for 7 to 10-minute high-intensity engagements. What this portfolio represents is not a single weapon system with a single set of limitations. It is a category, an ecosystem of low-cost interceptors, each optimized for different engagement conditions, backed by 201 specialists who know how to deploy them from mobile groups under active electronic warfare. According to the National's confirmed analysis, this is what has made Ukraine the world leader in neutralizing offensive drones in the assessment of Gulf defense analysts. The cost arithmetic of Operation Epic Fury's drone problem is what ultimately overrode Trump's initial dismissal. According to SOF News, the U.S. spent approximately $4 billion on missile defense interceptors in the first week alone. A $35,000 Shahed forcing a $4 million Patriot response is a 130 to 1 cost advantage for the attacker. And Iran does not even need the drone to reach its target to claim that advantage. The damage that does get through amplifies the equation further. According to Defense Security Monitor, a single Shahed on March 1st reportedly took out an AN/T PS-59 radar in Bahrain worth approximately $300 million. One drone. $35,000 to Iran. $300 million in damage. The layered defense logic that makes Ukraine's interceptors valuable at lower cost extends to the Gulf's specific threat environment. According to the National's confirmed analysis, interceptor drones form one layer in tiered air defenses, conserving expensive missiles for higher-end targets like cruise missiles and fast jets. A Patriot missile reserved for a ballistic missile or a cruise missile is a Patriot that does not get wasted on a $35,000 one-way attack drone. Ukraine's interceptors handle the low-altitude, high-volume layer so that the expensive systems can be used for threats that actually require their capabilities. The supply side makes the problem structural. According to Defense Security Monitor, PAC-3 production is currently approximately 50 to 60 units per month, far below demand. If 800 Patriot missiles were expended in 3 days, as Zelenskyy stated, replacing that inventory at current production pace takes over a year. Ukraine's interceptors address this directly. Per Business Insider via competitor, Ukraine confirmed it can supply up to 1,000 interceptor drones per day. At $2,000 per unit, that is $2 million per day. Compared to the roughly $571 million per day the U.S. was spending on Patriot intercepts in week 1. The gap is not marginal. It is the difference between a sustainable defense and an accounting crisis. Russia's behavior during Epic Fury sharpens Ukraine's message considerably. Per competitor reporting, Russia has been providing intelligence and drone technology to Iran throughout the campaign. Ukraine can therefore present a direct contrast to Washington. Ukraine is actively defending U.S. bases. Russia is actively supporting the regime attacking them. That contrast requires no elaboration in any meeting room in Washington. Ukraine helps the U.S., Russia helps its adversary. Which of those is the reliable partner in any negotiation over Ukraine's future? The production capacity behind Ukraine's offer is what makes it strategically credible rather than symbolic. Per competitor reporting, Ukraine's National Security and Defense Council confirmed 100,000 interceptors were built in 2025 alone, before the production ramp was fully established. The subsequent eightfold growth in capacity brings the annual ceiling to approximately 800,000 units. And no other country can offer comparable production of a proven, combat-tested interceptor drone at this cost point. Ukraine has not just developed the technology, it has built the industrial base to supply it at the volume the Gulf states actually need. Beyond the immediate U.S. alignment, Ukraine is building defense relationships with Gulf states that were simply not on its diplomatic map before Operation Epic Fury. Per the Arab Weekly via competitor analysis, Ukraine is positioning itself not just to sell weapons to Gulf nations, but to create dependencies with new partners that Putin never saw coming. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, and Jordan, nations dragged into a conflict they did not start, are now evaluating which external partners can actually help them. Ukraine arrives with specific, proven, immediately deployable capability. Russia is arming the threat those same states are defending against. The contrast is not subtle. Per competitor reporting, Qatar has previously served as a mediator in Ukraine-Russia prisoner exchanges, reuniting over 100 Ukrainian and Russian children with their families. That relationship is now deepening into formal defense cooperation. The 10-year security agreements already signed with Saudi Arabia and Qatar, confirmed in our prior coverage, extend well beyond the immediate Iran conflict. Ukraine is building strategic depth that changes its position in future negotiations with Russia, with the United States, and with the broader international community long after the Hormuz crisis is resolved. According to the National's confirmed April 7th headline, Basar, Ukraine has become the go-to nation for interceptor drones in demand in the Gulf. That status was not given. It was built through 4 years of fighting the exact drone threat that the Gulf is now facing, and through the institutional decision to invest in cheap, mass-producible countermeasures rather than waiting for Western missile systems. Per competitor reporting, Ukraine built 100,000 interceptor drones in 2025 alone. Production capacity has reportedly grown eightfold, bringing annual capacity to approximately 800,000 units. Per technology.org, over 10,000 Stings are produced every month. Supply is not the constraint. The export authorization framework is, and that framework is being built through the government-to-government agreement Zelenskyy confirmed in early March. The relationship Ukraine is building with Gulf states will outlast Operation Epic Fury regardless of when the Iran conflict ends. According to competitor reporting, Saudi Arabia delivered $400 million in humanitarian aid to Ukraine back in 2023, before any defense cooperation was on the table. That goodwill, combined with the tangible defense value Ukraine is now providing, creates the foundation for a long-term partnership that changes Ukraine's strategic options considerably. A country with strong defense relationships in both Europe and the Gulf is a country that is harder to isolate, harder to pressure, and harder to ignore in any future negotiation framework. The specific irony of Trump's Fox News dismissal is worth sitting with for a moment. He said the U.S. knows more about drones than anybody. By the time those words had been reported, 201 Ukrainian specialists were already operating in the Gulf, running the very intercept operations that Trump said the U.S. did not need help with. The U.S. had the world's best long-range strike drones. That was entirely true. Ukraine had the world's most proven short-range drone intercept capability. That was also true. Those are different categories, and the request that followed Trump's dismissal acknowledged the distinction even when the public statement did not. Ukraine is helping the U.S. The country Russia invaded 3 years ago is being paid in political capital, in advanced weapons, and in long-term defense agreements to protect the allies of the world's largest military. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one. Netu. This video is based on publicly available reports, official statements, and defense analysis. Some details may be subject to change.